Judge West's maximum sentence, a courtroom reckoning. The defendant smiled. That was his first mistake. Standing in shackles before Judge Marcus West, 34-year-old Derek Thornton actually smirked, a crooked, defiant gesture that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The courtroom fell into a suffocating silence. Even the court stenographer paused mid-keystroke. Judge West's eyes, usually measured and contemplative, hardened into something darker, something final. "Mr. Thornton," the judge's voice cut through the air like a blade, "I see you find something amusing about these proceedings." Derek's smile faltered, but didn't disappear completely. His attorney, a weary public defender named Sarah Chen, closed her eyes and exhaled slowly. She'd warned him. God knows she'd warned him. What Derek Thornton didn't understand, what his alcohol-soaked brain couldn't comprehend, was that he wasn't just facing a judge that morning. He was facing a reckoning 3 years in the making. Let's rewind to where it all began. March 17th, 2022, St. Patrick's Day. A night when bars overflow and poor decisions multiply like bacteria in a petri dish. Derek Thornton had started drinking at noon. By 11:47 p.m., he'd consumed 14 beers, 6 shots of whiskey, and something his friend called liquid courage, but was actually just more whiskey. His blood alcohol content would later be measured at 0.24, 3 times the legal limit. I'm fine," he'd slurred to his friends at McGinty's pub, fumbling for his keys. "I've driven drunk plenty of times. Never had a problem." That statement, that single catastrophic statement, would be played in court from a witness's cell phone video. The jury would hear it. The victims' families would hear it. Judge West would hear it. Derek climbed into his modified Dodge Charger, a vehicle he'd illegally souped up to reach speeds exceeding 140 mph. He'd already had 2 DUIs, already had his license suspended, already been through court-ordered AA meetings that he'd treated like a joke, signing in and immediately leaving. At 11:53 p.m., he ran a red light at the intersection of Maple and 7th Street. He was going 89 mph in a 35 mph zone. He never touched the brakes. The Martinez family never saw him coming. Carlos Martinez, 41, was driving his wife Elena and their 3 children home from a late dinner celebrating their daughter Sophia's acceptance to nursing school. Sophia, just 18, had dreams of becoming a pediatric nurse. She wanted to help children. She was going to change the world. Her little brother Miguel, 12, was asleep in the back seat, still wearing his soccer uniform from the game earlier that day. He'd scored 2 goals. His team had won the championship. 7-year-old Isabella, the baby of the family, was clutching a stuffed rabbit her grandmother had given her that afternoon. She'd named it Mr. Whiskers. Elena Martinez, 39, was turned around in the passenger seat, helping Isabella with her seatbelt. She was laughing. A neighbor would later testify that through her window, she'd seen Elena's face in that moment. Pure joy, pure love, pure life. Then Derek's Charger struck their minivan on the driver's side at 89 Neomemiri. The impact was so violent that the minivan was thrown 127 feet. It rolled 4 times before wrapping around a telephone pole. The sound. Witnesses said it was like a bomb exploding. Car alarms for 3 blocks triggered simultaneously. Windows in nearby homes shattered from the shockwave. Carlos Martinez was killed instantly. The coroner said he wouldn't have felt anything. Small comfort to a family that would never be whole again. Elena suffered catastrophic injuries. Broken spine, shattered pelvis, traumatic brain injury. She spent 11 weeks in a coma. When she finally woke up, she couldn't speak, couldn't walk, couldn't remember her own name some days. Miguel's left leg was crushed so severely that doctors performed 3 surgeries trying to save it. They couldn't. A 12-year-old boy who loved soccer more than anything would never run on a field again. Sophia survived with only broken ribs, a punctured lung, and injuries that required 200 stitches across her face and arms. But the psychological scars, Those went deeper than any surgeon could reach. And Isabella? 7-year-old Isabella with Mr. Whiskers the rabbit? She didn't make it through the first night. Here's the sick irony that made this case national news. Derek Thornton walked away from the crash. Not literally, he stumbled, staggered, and eventually crawled. But he was alive, barely injured, a few cuts, a sprained wrist, nothing that wouldn't heal in a couple of weeks. When Officer James Rodriguez arrived at the scene, he found Derek sitting on the curb, mumbling incoherently. The officer administered a field sobriety test, which Derek failed spectacularly. He couldn't stand on one leg, couldn't follow a pen with his eyes, couldn't recite the alphabet without slurring. "I only had a couple drinks," Derek lied, even as he reeked of whiskey. "This wasn't my fault. They came out of nowhere." The dashcam footage told a different story. The intersection had a traffic light. Derek's light was red, had been red for 7 seconds before he blew through it. The Martinez family had a green light. They'd done everything right. Derek had done everything wrong. Derek's case became a lightning rod for debate about drunk driving laws, repeat offenders, and justice in America. His attorney, Sarah Chen, knew she had an impossible task. The evidence was overwhelming. The public outrage was deafening. The facts were indisputable. But Derek Thornton, in his infinite arrogance, refused multiple plea deals. The prosecution offered him 15 years. He refused. They offered 20 years. He refused. They offered 25 years. He refused. "I want to take this to trial," Derek insisted, against his attorney's desperate advice. "I can explain what happened. The jury will understand." Sarah Chen knew what he didn't. The jury wouldn't understand. They would hate him. The trial lasted 6 weeks. The prosecution presented video evidence from the bar showing Derek consuming massive amounts of alcohol, testimony from friends who begged him not to drive, dashcam footage from Officer Rodriguez's patrol car accident reconstruction showing Derek's speed and recklessness, medical records detailing the Martinez family's injuries, Derek's prior DUI convictions, and suspended license cell phone records showing he'd been texting while driving. But the most damning evidence? The survivors themselves. Miguel Martinez, 15 now, rolled into court in his wheelchair. He'd learned to walk with a prosthetic leg, but the prosecution wanted the jury to see what had been taken from him. He testified about waking up in the hospital, asking for his father, and watching his mother's face crumble when she had to tell him Daddy wasn't coming back. Sophia Martinez, 21, sat in the witness box with visible scars running down her face, souvenirs of the 200 stitches she'd received. She testified about her nightmares, about how she can't drive anymore, about how she'd given up her dream of nursing school because she had panic attacks in moving vehicles. And Elena Martinez, confined to a wheelchair, her speech still slurred from brain damage, was rolled to the witness stand. She could barely communicate, but she held up a photo of her husband Carlos and 7-year-old Isabella. "My babies," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. There wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom, except Derek's. He sat at the defense table, stone-faced, occasionally yawning. Once, during Miguel's testimony, Derek was caught on camera rolling his eyes. The jury noticed. Jury deliberations lasted 47 minutes. Guilty on all counts. 2 counts of vehicular homicide. 3 counts of vehicular assault, DUI, reckless endangerment, driving with a suspended license. When the verdict was read, Derek Thornton finally showed emotion. He cursed, loudly. He had to be restrained by bailiffs as he shouted obscenities at the jury. Judge West, presiding over the trial with the patience of Job, simply watched, waited. His moment was coming. 3 months later, the courtroom was packed for sentencing. News crews lined the hallways. Victims' rights advocates held signs outside. The Martinez family, or what remained of it, sat in the front row. Derek Thornton wore an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs. Gone was the expensive suit his family had bought for trial. Gone was any pretense of remorse. And there was that smile. that infuriating, arrogant, defiant smile. Judge Marcus West had been on the bench for 23 years. He'd sentenced murderers, rapists, child abusers. He'd seen the worst of humanity parade through his courtroom. But something about Derek Thornton's smirk touched a nerve. "Mr. Thornton," Judge West began, removing his glasses slowly, "I've reviewed your case extensively. I've read every piece of evidence, every testimony, every report. I've spent sleepless nights considering what justice looks like in this situation." Derek's attorney rose. "Your Honor, we'd like to—" "Sit down, Ms. Chen." Judge West's voice wasn't loud, but it carried absolute authority. "I'll hear from you shortly." Sarah Chen sat. Judge West continued. "Mr. Thornton, you've shown no remorse, no accountability, no recognition of the lives you've destroyed. During this trial, you've yawned during victim testimony. You've rolled your eyes at grieving family members. You've smirked as if this were all some inconvenience to your schedule." Derek's smile began to fade. "You had 2 prior DUIs. You'd been ordered to attend alcohol counseling, which you treated as a joke. Your license was suspended, yet you drove anyway. You modified your vehicle illegally to go faster, and on the night in question, you consumed enough alcohol to kill some people, then got behind the wheel of what was essentially a weapon." Judge West's voice grew harder, colder. "You murdered Carlos Martinez, a father, a husband, a man who worked 2 jobs to provide for his family. You murdered Isabella Martinez, a 7-year-old child whose only crime was being in a vehicle with her family. You maimed and destroyed Elena Martinez, who will never walk again, who will never recover from her brain injuries, who will spend the rest of her life in constant pain. You stole Miguel Martinez's leg in his childhood. A boy who loved soccer will never play again because of your selfishness. You scarred Sofia Martinez, inside and out, so badly that she abandoned her dream of helping others because she can't even help herself anymore." The courtroom was silent except for quiet sobbing from the Martinez family. "And through it all," Judge West said, his voice rising now, "you've shown nothing, no tears, no apology, no humanity." Derek's smile was completely gone. His face had gone pale. "Ms. Chen, does your client wish to make a statement before I pass sentence?" Sarah Chen looked at Derek, who shook his head quickly. "Very well." Judge West straightened his papers. "Derek James Thornton, I hereby sentence you to the absolute maximum penalty allowed under law." He paused, letting the words hang in the air. "For the vehicular homicide of Carlos Martinez, 25 years in state prison. For the vehicular homicide of Isabella Martinez, 25 years in state prison, to run consecutively." Derek's face went from pale to white. "Wait, I'm not finished," Judge West snapped. "You will serve these sentences consecutively, not concurrently. That's 50 years total." "Your Honor," Derek started. "I am not finished." Each word was punctuated like a gavel strike. "You will be eligible for parole consideration after serving 85% of your sentence. That's 42.5 years. You are 34 years old. If you serve the minimum, you will be 76 years old when released." The courtroom erupted. Derek's mother screamed. The Martinez family embraced each other, crying. Reporters frantically typed on their phones. Judge West raised his gavel. "Order! I will have order!" The room quieted. "Furthermore," Judge West continued, "upon your release, if you live that long, you will be on supervised probation for life. You will never hold a driver's license again. You will be required to pay restitution to the Martinez family in an amount to be determined but estimated at $4.2 million. Derek slumped in his chair, the reality finally crashing down on him. "Mr. Thornton, let me be crystal clear," Judge West said, leaning forward. "You took a father from his children. You took a child from her parents. You destroyed an entire family because you couldn't be bothered to call an Uber. You had every chance to make different choices, every single chance, and you chose, repeatedly, consciously, arrogantly, to put your convenience above human life. This sentence isn't just punishment, Mr. Thornton. It's protection. Society needs to be protected from you. And maybe, just maybe, 50 years will give you time to find the humanity you've lacked thus far. Judge West raised his gavel. This court is adjourned. Bang. The aftermath. Where are they now? The video of Judge West's sentencing went viral within hours. Judge destroys drunk driver. Became one of the most watched courtroom clips in history, with over 50 million views. Judge West received thousands of letters thanking him for his stance. Derek Thornton is currently serving his sentence at a maximum security facility. He'll be 76 years old before he's eligible for parole. His appeals have all been denied. The Martinez family settled their civil case against Derek and the bar that overserved him for an undisclosed amount. Miguel learned to walk with his prosthetic and now advocates for victims of drunk driving. Sophia eventually returned to school and is working as a victims' rights counselor. Elena continues to require around-the-clock care. She lives with Miguel and Sophia, who take turns caring for her. She still keeps photos of Carlos and Isabella beside her bed. Judge Marcus West continues to serve on the bench, known for his fair but firm approach to justice. When asked about the Thornton case, he simply says, "I gave him exactly what the law allowed me to give, nothing more, nothing less." But those who were in the courtroom that day know it was more than that. It was a message. Drive drunk, destroy lives, show no remorse, and face the absolute maximum consequences. Derek Thornton smiled when he walked into that courtroom. He hasn't smiled since. This story serves as a stark reminder. Drunk driving isn't a mistake. It's a choice, and choices have consequences.